We'd like to call this meeting order. This is a meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Weber County. I've never understood why they call this that. That drives me nuts.
Recording
But anyway,
in progress.
the Board of Commissioners of Weber County, our commission chambers. Today, November 29th at 10 a.m. I'm Commissioner Jenkins, welcoming you today. On my right is Commissioner Harvey, and on my left is Commissioner Frohr. We will start this day with Duncan. Is Duncan here?
No.
Duncan's not here.
No. I can do that.
Okay, with Commissioner Harvey doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll do that today, because you got a thought of the day.
Whatever you assign me, Mr.
Okay.
Chair,
I'll do that. Our invocation today will be by Commissioner Frohr, and the thought of the day will be by Commissioner Harvey.
Wow, special.
So, if we could all stand and address the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our beloved Heavenly Father, we come before you on this gorgeous winter day in Weber County. We give thanks for our form of government, the self-rule, the opportunities we have as citizens in this great country and state. We're grateful for the opportunities we've had, Father, this past week to meet with families and friends and renew relationships and really look forward to the relationships this coming season that we all enjoy. Father, we give thanks for this recent moisture that we have that's so much needed for our environment and our well-being, and we ask that this moisture continues through this winter season. We ask for the blessings, Father, on for those families impacted by the recent unnecessary violence that we've seen across this nation, and may they find peace in this coming holiday season. We also ask for your guidance and decisions that we make today will be made in the best interest of the citizens of Weber County, and that, Father, we ask for those blessings for those suffering from ill health, and ask for your help in restoring their good health, that they may enjoy this upcoming holiday season. Father, we say this prayer in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Frohr. Great prayer.
Thank you.
You know, Commissioners, and those out in the audience today, both virtually and here, as we walk through the path of life, a lot of times, for me, I try to find myself knowing how to think, how to make decisions, what would be the best way to act or not to act. There are some people in my life that I've tried to emulate because I've thought that they've set great examples, mentors, so to speak. I think a lot of people do that as they form their opinions in today's world. They listen to different things. So, of course, social media is a big place where people turn to get opinions or to get their thoughts collected together. Some people turn to religious leaders. Others turn to the news. Others turn to a number of different things. We have all types of resources, books, and all different types of things we can get information from. And as for me, in my thought today, I've turned to different things in my life and tried to shape my character based on things that I've read or seen or learned from teachers that I think would do good. One of those such things, well, for instance, you've heard a lot of me using quotes from Winston Churchill, the great communicator. I've studied a little bit about his life and liked some of the things he said and some of the way he's taught. And you know, another one is C.S. Lewis. And in his book, he talks of the Great Divorce. It's a book called The Great Divorce, and I'm not well read. but I stumble across things once in a while. And he talks about the seven great virtues a man can have in their life. And of all those different virtues, the one that he prizes the most is that of gratitude. And he says a man that has the virtue of gratitude will possess the other six, because in that gratitude falls all the other things. As we've just finished a national day focused on gratitude or giving thanks and thanksgiving, I'm grateful that still we live in an area that they still focus on that. And while there's a lot of pressure in a lot of different ways to focus on the scary things for Halloween and how much pomp and circumstance is surrounded in that, and then the retailism or the acquiring of things, tangible, what Christmas has turned out to be. I'm grateful for a day that we can stop and give thanks, and I'm also grateful as we approach this time of year for the real reason of Christmas, and that's to have a great example in the Savior Jesus Christ. And of those two things, I like to think that's kind of shaped my character, and I think those who are possessed of those things, and especially gratitude, it's well with them as they do. And those are my thoughts today, Mr. Chair.
Great thought. Very good. So, Commissioner Harvey, I've got a question for you, though.
Okay.
In regards to those thoughts.
Query away.
Did Commissioner Frohr or myself, have we rubbed off on you at all?
I think so.
In a good way, I hope.
Well,
Not a bad way.
You know, I think, as you get ready to wind down your public service, don't think that some of those things won't live on. For instance, the word Judas.
Oh, Judas, here we go again. Okay.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that comment today and the prayer for you, Commissioner Frohr.
Thank you.
All right. We've now gone back to public comments, and we would like them to be related to items on the agenda today. So if any of you would like to come forward and express some public comments today, we'd love to hear from you. Today, now is the time. So please, feel free to step forward. 3 minutes apiece. I see 30, 40 minutes worth of comments. Okay, it doesn't look like it. All right, we'll go to the next item on the agenda. These are the consent items. First item is a request for approval of the warrants listed today in the amount of $862,824. Second item is approval of warrants or purchase orders in the amount of $107,658. Ricky, would you like to give us a summary of those?
You bet. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We issued 9 purchase orders this week for $108,000. A third of that amount, or $35,000, is for the Recreation Department to purchase a field machine. A quarter of that amount, or $26,000, is for the Golden Spike Events Center to purchase a grater blade. 19%, or $20,000, we had 2 at that amount, one for the library, which will go towards software licensing renewals and some building maintenance, and then for the transfer station to perform equipment maintenance. As far as payments, we issued 187 warrants this week for $863,000. 40% of that amount, or $349,000, was for the transfer station to purchase an excavator. 20%, or $175,000, is for the Weber Housing Authority. It's housing payments made on their behalf. And then 8%, or $71,000, is for the library to purchase books and materials, as well as some building maintenance.
So, Ricky, who's buying that excavator?
It's the transfer station, and I probably took too much liberty. The description was cat equipment. And
Yeah, I know what it is.
so it's probably not an excavator. It's probably some other type of cat equipment.
And how much was the blade on that grater?
I can give you the answer to that.
Yeah, $26,000.
$26,000
Hold on.
for a piece of steel about
Hold
that
on.
wide, that thick, and it's probably 8 or 9 feet wide.
Yeah? Do you want the rest of the story,
Sure.
like my Uncle Paul would say?
Yeah.
It's not just the piece of steel that's about yay wide, yay all this stuff. It's finally, and I was gonna comment on this anyway, they're finally getting into the part where they're laser leveling everything. So it's the whole apparatus that fits on the front of a skid steer.
Oh.
So it automatically levels things out, so it's
not
perfect.
just the blade.
No, it's the attachment.
Thank you for settling that.
Well-
That changes a lot. Boy, when you said blade, that amount, I just,
Well, there's a blade
my
on it.
sphincter kind of puckered up.
Well, I don't.
Isn't that what you all say to me?
I don't know how a blade could,
Could do that?
okay.
All right.
There's only 4 more weeks, folks, only 4 more weeks.
All right, Commissioner Ford, you got any questions there?
I don't.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey, you okay?
Said.
Well, yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next items. Item 4 is request for the Weber County Tax Review Committee for approval of the following. Waive escaped taxes for 2020 and 2021 on parcel 08-596-0029. So normally you guys come present something to us on that. We've not heard anything on this one.
I think that was the one that we did hear about 3 weeks ago from, was it before April left, or was it? Oh, Dee Dee, right on.
Come
Well,
forward,
yeah, she,
please.
and remember,
I think we talked about this.
yeah.
Well, in fact, let me read through this portion and then I'll go to you. The second item is refund on overpaid taxes of David R. and Mary Lynn Anderton, and the parcel listed today. Refund overpaid on Stephen R. and Susan Mallard. Refund overpaid on Brian D. and Gaylyn Allen. And refund overpaid by Ogden Cycle Association on the parcels listed. Refund overpaid by Ralph and Tina Chadburn Family Trust. And a refund overpaid by Movu LLC on the parcels listed, 2 parcels. Okay, now we're ready for you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
You bet.
Thanks, Dee Dee.
So do you want me to discuss just the one or all of them?
Well, the one's the one I have a question on,
Okay.
why it's 2 years, but, you know, in the past, we've had a few here. I'm not sure we've ever had this many.
Yeah. So what happened on this parcel is it ended up selling, and we weren't identified from the city of the building permit that's taken out for the home. They never gave it to the assessor's office. So when the house sold, we says, oh, there's a house on this parcel. So we went and picked up the house and found out that it was built in 2019. So it escaped 20 and 2021, but it sold to a new owner. So if you escape the taxes and put it on the parcel, the new owner is burdened with the tax. And so there's no way of contacting the new people because I tried to find them and they're not anywhere that you can find them. So the old owners only paid on vacant land when they should have been paying on the home. And so we've asked for the request to waive it to not burden the
So when-
new owner that just purchased the house for the
When they had to
2020.
buy a building permit from us to do this, how does that happen?
They did buy a building permit from Herper City, but Herper City never sent the permit to us in the assessor's office, so we never received it. So,
I feel bad about that, so we got stiffed this.
Yeah.
What
Interesting.
about sending that invoice to Hooper City?
wow.
I guarantee if we do that, they'll never
Miss
miss
it again?
sending us the information again.
Well, they've been having a lot of turnaround with people in different cities on issuing permits, so I'm sure it was probably the turnaround that they probably had, just something happened, but.
Well, that was the only question I had. Commissioners, either of you have questions on that?
No, it's good.
Commissioner Harvey, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Dee Dee, thank you.
you.
Appreciate that. All right, next item is a request for approval of a retirement agreement by and between Weber County and Chandra Bingham. And that's it I have on those. So consent items, Commissioners. Any questions?
No questions, and with that, Mr. Chair, if you're ready to accept a motion, I'll make a motion that we approve consent items listed on our agenda, F like Foxtrot, 1 through and including 5.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to second that with a comment.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
I think it's important that we point out the refunds here and let the public understand that there is the ability to question when they receive their tax notice the value of those properties or the square footage, et cetera, and that we do in fact give refunds. And a lot of people look at that notice as being non-negotiable when in fact it is. And so it's another opportunity for the public to say, take the responsibility to look at your tax notice, and if you think it's not accurate, you have the ability to appeal. And we encourage you and would ask that you do that, and that we do listen. The assessor's office, the treasurer's office takes that responsibility very high, and they make sure that those taxes, the square footage, the value of those properties are in line. So, Mr. Chair, I would say that this is something that we should highlight, an opportunity for the public to be involved with their own taxes.
Appreciate that.
That's my
Commissioner
comment.
Thorpe. Was that a second?
That was a second, yeah.
Very good. I appreciate that comment. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye. Very good. Our consent items are approved. All right, we'll go to action items today. G is in Gulf. 1, presentation of Visit Ogden. Ms. Sarah Tolliver on their 2022 annual report and request for approval of the 2023 strategic plan.
Thank you.
This is Tolliver.
I don't know who that. Do I pull that up on here? Or?
The two of us up here are on your board, and I want you to know we really appreciate you and your efforts and your employees.
Thank you.
They're great people.
Sorry, where is it?
In fact, you brought all of them, didn't you? Isn't there one more?
There's a couple more.
Is there?
missing, Yes.
Okay.
Do we get to see today the video done by Steven Spielberg Jr.?
Well, it's actually in the presentation, but they just asked me not to play it. So,
Hold on.
Who's they?
no one in particular, just someone.
We've got plenty of time. We'd like to watch that.
Okay, can you
There's a
work
lot
on
of
that?
people in the audience here that came to be informed today.
That's right. And we're going to inform them and then dazzle them with the video presentation.
This is great.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so just to start off, we have, as part of our contract with the county, we come and present our annual report and our strategic plan to you each year for approval. And I just wanted to start off by, Commissioner Jenkins, you mentioned it. You and Commissioner Harvey both sit on our board, and we just really appreciate all the service you've given us over these last few years and want to thank you for your time and commitment to what we do and your support of what we do. So thank you so much. This presentation, in trying to be brief, I know isn't brief enough for many, but it is just a highlight of trying to recap the work that we've worked on this year as well as our plan for next year. I just wanted to point out that we do have some full report printed copies. You have a digital version in front of you, and then the public, if they would like to, can access it on our website underneath our Contact Us page for all the details if they're so inclined. So Visit Ogden works with the people and places of our community to sustainably curate, cultivate, and promote meaningful experiences for our residents and visitors, and this is what guides us in each of our activities. As we go through this annual report to date, I do want to step back even a little bit further to start with. The Kim Gardner Policy Institute down at the University of Utah works with the Utah Office of Tourism to present or prepare these county reports each year. They aren't completed until the end of the year for the previous year, but they were kind enough to send me a few data points for today's presentation. So this is 2021 numbers, not 22, but you can see that the direct visitor spend spending equates to $424 million in Weber County, which is a 30% increase over 2020. And as we'll review, and many of you know, numbers this year have continued to increase and will be above that. Residents generate 82.7% of our local sales tax in Weber County, and visitors generate 17.3%, or $33.4 million in that sales tax revenue, with an additional $27.3 million being generated at the state level. In 2021, we employed about 6,000 in tourism-specific jobs in Weber County, and 10,500 in leisure and hospitality is the greater umbrella. When we look again at tourism tax collection and some lodging data to go along with that, in 2021, we collected more than $7.3 million in tourism taxes in the county. Year over year, we are up 22% in our transient room tax collections, 13% in restaurant tax, and 19% in leased vehicle taxes. When we look at the lodging side, obviously one of our key indicators of the visitor economy, we'll start with short-term rentals, and I just want to point out that we have, on average, approximately 200 additional units each month this year over the same month last year. And you can see that occupancy has started to dip a little, but with that increase in ADR, and that should be ADR, not RevPAR, and the number of units that we have online, our revenues continue to increase. Some people ask me if this impacts our hotel occupancy, and no, not yet. Year over year, our hotel revenue has increased 16%, with our ADR increasing 13%, and an average occupancy through the end of September at 74%.
So it's interesting to me, as you look at this left column under lodging, you sit there and look at that, and you look at our hotels are healthy. Kevin Garn told me once that if he could have 67% occupancy, he was, in his mind, slaying it. That was their goal. Well, you can see our hotels were over 70%, and with the new year, they're even higher than that. And when you look at the revenue, man, our STRs, they slam it, and they give us a lot of revenue here. Our hotels are healthy. We have a fair amount of tourism that comes to Weber County. This is an amazing slide. It is.
I'll just point out too, I mean, it's hard. The last couple years all seem like a big blur in a lot of ways, but if you remember back to January of 2021, we were dealing with another outbreak of COVID, and so our numbers were actually down pretty significantly in first quarter. So that average 74% occupancy year to date takes that into account as well. So it's been a busy, busy summer and fall.
I remember that.
Yeah. I know you guys like data. So, and just to show a couple other examples of the data that we utilize to make sure that all of our decisions are data-based is this visitor profile. So we look at various target geographies and their resulting spend. So if you look at this, for example, we receive far fewer visitors from Twin Falls, Idaho, but when they come to town, they spend significantly more than almost any other market except Idaho Falls. And if you look at those top 4 destinations, they are, really high in both visitation and spend, which is what we like to see. We also take a look at our visitor to resident ratio to ensure that we don't get out of alignment with the number of visitors in any given district or neighborhood. We also evaluate the number of overnight versus day trip visitors, recognizing that our overnight visitors tend to spend more in our communities and be better stewards of our community's resources. So to see results such as these, our scope of work is guided by 4 pillars. We combined 2 of our pillars this year, of destination development and community, because there was so much overlap, and we felt this destination stewardship was the intersection of these 2 interests. So just to sum up, destination stewardship is quality of life and quality of destination. Economic impact is obviously a factor in the economic vibrancy of our community, which we facilitate through group sales and destination branding. Advocacy is the numerous local, regional, state, and industry collaborations that are so vital to our success. And obviously, my amazing team, retention and development, they are definitely our most valuable resource, and we need to ensure they're top focus always. When we look at our destination branding efforts, that encompasses really all of our marketing and promotion activities. So ultimately, we're targeting leisure travelers, business travelers to extend their stay, group business and events and conventions to be aware of our destination and the values we represent, and our potential future workforce as well to be aware of the community that we're promoting. Our efforts so far this year have driven 30 million campaign impressions and more than 500,000 people to our website. You can see all kinds of statistics and campaign click-throughs and whatnot in the full report, but I wanted to call out that one of our primary goals, which is click-throughs to our partner websites, has increased by 35% year over year. Our social has similar success stories. Social algorithms continue to change and become more difficult. With Facebook this year, it was really difficult to get organic content seen. So we invested more in social, and the result was an 829% increase in paid impressions on Facebook, which also drove our organic reach up 194% year over year. We have to play their games, but when we do, we see great results from that. It just takes more resources than it has in the past. Our Instagram followers increased 8%. We have seen a slowing there since the move to Reels and videos has impacted who sees our content. So in this next year, we'll be working to find more time or external resources to help generate that content. And of course, no one can stay away from TikTok for reasons I can't explain. So we continue to work on and evolve our strategy on that platform. On the group sales side, even with the added challenge of a whole new sales team for us, our sales team has definitely delivered, and I want to give them a big shout out. Year to date, we've successfully hosted 30 groups, resulting in more than $12.5 million in economic impact and nearly 25,000 attendees. Our RFPs have had a higher economic impact value, and the economic impact of booked business is up 36% year over year, exceeding our annual goal by $700,000. I mentioned we've hosted 30 groups, but I know some that we pay attention to specifically. TCG over at the Conference Center delivered record Conference Center revenue this year, and we picked up nearly 2,000 room nights, which is the first time we've done that since 2015. Triple Crown Sports, we hosted the first year of their World Series softball tournament, which included 55 teams and 825 players, generating approximately $3 million in economic impact. And we'll have them back for another 2 years, as well as a baseball event that will join them. When we look at destination stewardship, this was really our first year to focus on this in this way. And as I mentioned, we consider this the meeting point between destination management and development. We secured a $75,000 grant from the Utah Office of Tourism to launch a Visit Responsibly campaign. And we worked with the Nichols Tourism Group to conduct a state of the destination, or what we call a destination diagnostic, which will be complete by the end of this year, followed next year by the creation of a destination stewardship plan. I want to thank our stewardship steering committee, which is a mouthful, for all the time they have spent in creating this diagnostic. There are some really amazing and smart people in this community, and the ski resorts in Weber State are doing incredible things to pave the way for environmental sustainability in this community. We also started a new 501c3 organization called the Weber Sustainability Fund, which will target events and group business that we bring into this community to give back to the areas in which they utilize. And of course, want to focus on those areas where we can be a positive impact on any equity, diversity, and inclusion programs or strategies. First, with our Hidden Disabilities program, working on accessibility and inclusion efforts. Advocacy involves all the local advocating we do for our community needs and includes the advocacy work at the state level as well. This year, in all realms, short-term rentals have been a primary issue, and I've been serving on a legislative task force with Representative Musselman trying to find some good solutions. On the screen, you'll see a list of a sampling of the boards and committees. There are more upon which our team participates. I put these in the advocate pillar because we advocate jointly with all of these organizations for the betterment of our community and the things we need. We advocate to them so they understand how the visitor economy impacts what they're doing, and for them as well because of the incredible enhancements they make to our community. A couple other additional things, we worked with Weber State to explore the possibility for a hospitality program, and we'll continue to have that conversation. We work to share our branding message with potential workforce, since we know we were having shortage challenges, and on increased communications with our partners and residents. So now, to look forward into the coming year, we are once again realistic about the challenges that await. For the two commissioners who sat through my annual meeting last week and listened to Jonathan Smithgall's presentation, you heard that inflation and gas prices and the fear of, or the perception of, or the reality of a recession have changed people's travel plans pretty significantly. So unfortunately, we continue to be very flexible and we'll be able to pivot as necessary. We'll focus closer to home to start with and just navigate whatever situations come our way next year. We will also work to find the opportunities to engage in these sustainability and stewardship initiatives that we are intent on implementing. So again, under each of those pillars, we've identified a number of goals and objectives that are outlined in the full plan. And then internally, we have a number of tactics that we will be working on to accomplish those. First is our destination development plan, which we are 2 years into at this point, into the first phase. We realize that most of these imperatives will never be checked off the list, but rather continue to be ongoing or maintained for an indefinite period of time. But we will work to finish this year strong and move into next year with those that are in progress with work still to be done and those that have not yet been started. I mentioned the destination diagnostic and the creation of the destination stewardship plan, which will be our effort to sustainably manage both visitor and resident experiences in our community. This plan will take into account the numerous other plans and initiatives already in place and engage in sustainability initiatives already being implemented, with the end goal being the sustainability of our environment, our economy, and our community. And we'll continue all the EDI initiatives that we have planned. Economic impact with destination branding, you can see the numerous objectives highlighted in the full plan, but one of the primary ones will be a website redesign, since it is our primary call to action on all of our efforts. We will launch that with a goal of maintaining consistency with our current KPIs and not losing ground with the new site. Supporting our economic development teams with branding efforts to aid in their workforce and business recruitment efforts, continue to enhance responsible visitation messaging through all of our platforms, and assist the sales team in asset generation and better visibility through marketing. When it comes to group sales, youth sports has been our bread and butter for the last couple of years. Meetings and conventions are still slow to return to pre-pandemic levels, though they are starting to come back. But I do want to give a huge shout out to Duncan and the Golden Spike team for hosting so many events that were out of their normal realm of events during this time to create all this incredible economic impact for our community. So for next year, we always look to increase revenue and economic impact year over year. Establish and nurture relationships with our new sales team, with our venues and lodging partners, and also calling out that, you know, our tourism infrastructure has really been in downtown Ogden and the Upper Ogden Valley to date. But with all of these field use events, looking at our community, it will definitely necessitate relationships with all of the other cities in our county as well. So we'll be working on facilitating those. As well as working to secure those Weber Sustainability Fund donations from groups. And also, there's a lot of business that we either lose or intentionally don't bid on because for one reason or another we don't have the capacity to host it. We're going to work on doing a better job at tracking those that we turn down or lose so that we can report back to you on the types of things that may be able to enhance our opportunity for hosting those in the future. We'll continue on the advocacy pillar of working on short-term rentals, the protection of transient room tax at the state level, liquor laws are always a fun one, and funding strategies for our organization. I am chair of the Utah Tourism Industry Association Legislative Affairs Committee, the Ogden-Weber Chamber Legislative Affairs Committee, and on the Northern Utah Chamber Coalition Executive Committee. So I'm up to my eyeballs in all things legislative, which is lovely. So as we mentioned, I don't actually have a current picture of our team. One of these folks here has moved on to a new adventure. We welcome JD, who started yesterday, and have another who will be starting at the first of the year, which will bring our team back to 8 for the first time since before the pandemic. So we're very excited about that. They are definitely our most valuable resource. They're passionate about this community and work endlessly at all these added initiatives we keep adding to our plates to make this community be the best it can be for both visitors and residents. All right, do we have a video? No video. Do you have any? So we'll come back to the video. But with that, I present our strategic plan for 2023. And thank you for your support. And we'll answer any questions that you might have.
Questions, commissioners?
No, I'm still looking for that video, Paul.
Oh my, I want to see that.
You may have to have it emailed to you.
We've seen that.
I know, but I want
Someone,
these
no,
folks
I
to
mean,
see
no,
it.
that's what I mean, same thing. We're on the same page here.
So, I do have a couple things to say.
I do too.
Sarah. Yeah, well, go ahead. You go first.
Oh, it's all right.
No, go on.
Okay. So I know the answer to the question, but I'm hoping my colleagues will help fill in the blanks. One of the questions is that we have collected another 22% in extra sales tax collection. With so much more sales tax collection, why did our property tax go up? Hold on. We'll roll that right over to our former legislators, because either one of you want to answer that question?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
All right, the property tax went up.
We
Well,
collected another 22% in sales tax, so why then did our property taxes go up so much?
Well, I don't.
Since Weber County collects the property tax.
Right.
Okay.
Well, the answer to that question has to do with state law, as you well know, controls the environment with taxation. And that has to do with the state requiring that we assess each property for fair market value. And we know that for a fact that the fair market value of majority of the properties across Weber County went up. In fact, if you look at areas like Ogden Valley, they went up close to 20% year to year. So that always has an impact. And then there's always the differentiation between cities, and we saw that school district increased taxes. In fact, I think if Commissioner Harvey, that if you look at the record that almost every city, with the exception of one, and Weber County included, did a truth in taxation hearing to increase taxes, property taxes. So, in other words, it's out of our control. What can I say?
So, and the other thing that was important, and I appreciate that too, the other thing that's important is not all the sales tax that's collected stays here. It goes on to the state. Now, we only get a fraction of that.
That's
in
correct.
Weber County. So just in fact,
33 million from the visitor economy.
that's totally.
No, that's Weber County's
yeah.
portion,
But that's,
just so you remember.
the 35%, the 22% that we're up doesn't all stay in Weber County.
Correct. Plus, to Commissioner Forrest's comment about property taxes, truth in taxation says that our taxes has to stay flat in the net number. So not the percentages, but in the dollars that you pay. Our taxes have to stay flat every year. So even though your appraised price value went up, your taxes in Weber County and the other districts, the people who tax you, stay flat unless you hold a truth in taxation hearing and choose to raise those.
And except for, of the 15 cities, there was only one city and Weber County that didn't have a
That's
truth
right.
in taxation.
That's
last
right,
year.
so we didn't raise taxes. So people who are taxed by us, their taxes stayed flat.
So the other thing, the important thing is to just to help educate. One of the things we've done in the last several years is we've put all the entities, you know, when you get a tax notice, you have 14, 18, 20 different entities on that tax notice, but they all have a telephone number now and a place you can go if you have a question about your taxes. We've changed the look of that tax notice so people can be a little more involved. And unfortunately, that's how it works. We, as a citizenry, designed it that way. That's how we've designed it to work. So when your taxes go up, we appreciate the litany of emails that we've received, but in many cases, we just directed them on to the places where they had the truth and taxation hearings. Whether it was the water district or the school district or the sewer district or all the other places where they had the truth and taxation hearings, or the respective cities in which the people live. I wanted to point that out. The other one is the click-through partner website's up 35%. That's just another byproduct of having a fantastic tourism here locally, a tourism group like what you run here, Sarah. We appreciate that. A lot of people are benefiting without even knowing on that, how they're getting their clicks, and so we appreciate you sending that through.
Thank you.
Those were my comments, Mr. Chair.
Great comments. Commissioner Farrar?
Yes, I do. Actually, a question for Sarah. First off, great presentation,
Thank you.
and I'm glad to see you hired JD. I happen to know him a little bit. My question has to do with STR, something that's near and dear to your heart and various people. As you may not be aware, just yesterday, this commission authorized.
Hold on. What does STR stand for, Commissioner Farrar?
That would stand for short-term rentals.
Thank you.
In case you need
I needed it.
a tattoo, then I think we could make sure that happens. Okay. So we authorize the implementation or authorization of a contract with a third-party enforcement agency that is a major player in short-term rentals across this country. My question has to do is we actually had the RFP. Came down to 4 potential bidders, and we agreed that this company we picked was probably the best and the best pick for Weber County. But my question is there was a various, discrepancy in the number of STRs that were reported in Weber County. We've been told by certain people in Ogden Valley that we have close to 1,200 basically that would just be Ogden Valley, not across. Most of the bidders that had looked at our market were somewhere between 600 to 775. You've obviously accumulated the data. What's your input, and then what's your feeling about having a third-party enforcement in terms of the issues that people are seeing, and especially Ogden Valley with short-term rentals?
So to answer the first part of your question, the data that we have comes from a third party as well called AirDNA, and it's a scraping site. So it goes through and scrapes all of the platforms that are out there, the aggregators, and compiles an aggregate listing. So if one location, because a lot are listed on multiple platforms, obviously, so it creates a singular list, so there's not duplicates on there. One of the tricky things with short-term rentals, I will say, is the number can fluctuate from day to day, obviously, with who has their home or, lodging on the market at that particular point in time. One of the other things we're starting to see that will impact the numbers is that places that are more traditionally managed by property management companies as short-term lodging have their own marketing that they do to drive business to them, but then they also will list these lodging accommodations on these short-term rental platforms. So there's a lot of different ways that they can be counted, which is part of the discrepancy in looking at those. These third-party enforcement companies, I think, are a fantastic idea. I know that one of the biggest challenges we have in most municipalities is the bandwidth to actually engage in any enforcement whatsoever. As we've looked at this on both a local and state level, there's a lot of different components we've looked at. There is a lot of research to indicate that many people who operate short-term rentals just do it out of the ease of being able to list your property on a platform and don't understand all of the necessary permitting or licensing that they're supposed to go through. So there's an element with these third-party enforcement companies to just send a letter letting people know the proper procedures and protocols to engage in to be legal in, whatever, as long as they're operating in a legal zone for those short-term rentals. And then also there's been challenge created by some language that we have in Utah that prohibits the use of online resources as the only mechanism to identify a short-term rental. It can be used in conjunction with other efforts, but not as the only. So these third-party agencies can just manage that system a lot better to track because it's all they do. So they have the bandwidth and resources to do so.
Good. Okay, we're looking forward to that legislation. It sounds like you're going to have an opportunity to be at the State House quite a bit, so,
Looking forward to it.
yeah, good job.
Well, sir, I would like to give you congratulations for a tremendous, tremendous year. When you look at the fact that it was at the tail end of COVID and all the things that were happening, and you've brought some great numbers in here. And so for 2023, is your budget going to increase?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Oh, so did the county give you more money than it had?
The county did increase our budget. Yes, thank you.
Man, I'm glad to hear that.
Wow.
Which will
Way
be
to
brought
go.
forth in a contract amendment for next year. But
That's good.
we're still going to work on that long-term strategic funding model, though.
Good. All right, we ready to see this video?
Yes, we are, I think.
Great.
Let's try. Okay, here we go.
Here we go, folks.
These mountains, this music, this valley, these views, this art, this heart, this river, these restaurants, these sunsets, this sushi, this beauty, this beer, these trails, these trains, this nightlife, this snow, this service, this history, this hipster, this water, this wonder, these moments, these memories, these people, this place.
There you have it.
That's great. I hadn't seen that.
Man, he's good at that.
Very good.
Well, commissioners, got any questions here?
No, we're lucky to have Sarah and her team here, and across the state of Utah, there are 29 counties, and we enjoy the best visitors bureau of all. And that's evident when we go to these conventions with all the other counties. It's just, they're so far back there, it's kind of like they're still on tricycles, and we're speeding
On 10
ahead.
speeds, aren't we?
Oh, no, we're on,
E-bikes?
we're on electric, fast.
We're
nice
cruising right
bikes.
ahead.
So, Sarah, how much of our taxes, each of us individually, get paid by tourists?
So the last number I saw, they'll compute it again for 2022, but last year it was over $1,300 per household is saved by every household in the state of Utah, because when visitors come in, they spend their money, and most of them wind up leaving, and so we don't have to pay for, the long-term services to them that we do for our residents. So
Tremendous report. Thank you very much.
thank you, I appreciate it.
You bet. All right, commissioners, no action required there, so we will go to, and we want to thank the folks that work with you, too. Sarah, they do a really good job, and we just couldn't be prouder of you.
Do we need an approval of that strategic plan?
We probably do, don't we? And the report.
I'd be happy to make that motion, Mr. Chair,
Very good, I have a motion.
that we approve the 2022 annual report as presented by Ms. Sarah Tolliver this morning.
I'll second that.
Good. Comments?
I've made, thank you. Yeah, I've made my comments before, thank you.
Very good, we'll call it. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. There, thank you. All right, item 2 on action items today is approval of the reading of an ordinance 2022-27, changing sewer service rates. It says Scott Park here, but I see Chad Meyerhofer in front of me.
What's Chad
Morning,
doing up there?
Commissioners. Yes, Scott had something
You weren't
come
here
up.
last week when Scott made the report.
That's correct, yep, and he asked me this week to see if I could take it over because he had something
That's
come up.
okay.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah, what you have before you today, Commissioners, is the final reading on an ordinance changing the sewer service fees. So I think we've been in some work sessions with you and gone through a lot of that. What the sewer fees are looking to be in the lower valley, we've got $40 a month for those that are within the district. Those that are outside the district, there's going to be an additional fee that Central Weavers came up with of $21.66 where they weren't annexed into the district, and then go through the process of annexing in and get that removed if they want to. And then the upper valley, you can see Bailey Acres, Basin View, Emerson Hills, and Trappers Crossing at $40 a month. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So $40 a month up there, and that puts them $21.60 a month ahead of down here because they don't have the Central Weaver sewer fee
That's correct. If you
connected
look,
to it.
Central Weaver's fee is $27.05 on that first.
I thought you said
little
$21.60.
section. $21.66 is the additional amount on top of that, $27.05 for those that are outside of the district.
Oh, okay.
And so that goes straight to Central Weaver, that we collect that. It goes to them for the treatment process out there at
Okay.
Central Weaver, so.
And the folks up in the valley don't have that treatment process
have,
because they're on lagoons and,
On an on-site system
yeah.
that is a
Correct.
lower treatment system.
okay. Questions, commissioners?
Questions?
No, none for me.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we approve the final reading of ordinance 2022-27, changing the sewer fees.
Very good.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
No.
Oh, yeah, this is a, Craig, go ahead.
Roll call vote for ordinance 2022-27. Commissioner Faur.
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey.
Aye.
Chair Jenkins.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks, Chad.
Commissioners.
We appreciate it. All right, item 3 today is request for approval of contract by between Weber County and Clark's Quality Roofing for the Weber County jail roof replacement. Bryce Taylor. Oh, Bryce.
Morning. This is a contract before you that went through the purchasing department for the replacement of the roof at the 12th Street Jail. This will replace the entire roof and put down a new PVC roof.
All right. Questions?
No, none for me.
This is your area.
And
Portfolio.
Bryce, remind me again what the age of the existing roof is?
I believe it was 94
Okay.
on that. I could
Oh.
off a little bit, but I think it was about 94, 95.
And we're talking with the sheriff and other people out there. This is needed. We have obviously problems. It's cheaper to replace a roof, and when it gets to the age where it costs more to maintain it, fix the leaks, and so it's a proper request. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to make a motion that we approve the contract by and between Weber County and Clark's Quality Roofing for the Weber County Jail roof replacement, as presented by Mr. Bryce Taylor this morning.
Second.
Good, we have motion and second. So that'd be almost 30 years.
30, yeah.
A year shy.
Well, that's, yeah.
Pretty
and
dang good.
I'm surprised. A lot of times you don't get much over 20 to 25
Yeah.
years out,
That's good.
that I've seen.
Pretty good. Well, good then. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That's approved. Thanks, Bryce. Item 4 is a request for approval of contract run between Weber County and Weber High School lacrosse team to hold practices at the Golden Spike Event Center. Duncan Olson isn't here.
I'll take that.
Okay, go ahead.
All of them are back at the
Oh, yeah.
the National Association of Fairs and Expositions, booking the entertainment and the acts and things like that for the next year's Weber County Fair. And so I told them that I would take these. This first one is just for them to hold practices inside the Golden Spike Event Center for high school. Here it is again. We give the high schools and the kids a little better rate, and so that's why it's coming to us today for that. We do this for the rodeos. We do any type of student organizations, and so that's why it's before us today. If I can, Mr. Chair, I'd like to take it all the way down through item 7 if I
Well,
could.
let's approve this one, and then we'll come back.
Okay, fine.
So is that a motion?
It's a motion, well, no, it's not a motion. I was the presenter, but I'm happy to make that
Why
motion.
don't you make that motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve that lacrosse contract.
Second.
Very good. So I do have a question. Is this actually in the Ogden Eccles Golden Spike Arena?
It's inside the Golden Spike Arena.
Really? So they do it, they just roll that dirt and do it right on that dirt?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I'm impressed.
We multi-use, yeah. We've held wrestling meets there, the state wrestling meets. We've
Yeah.
held all kinds of stuff there.
That's good. Very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye. There's approved. Okay, item 5 is a request for an approval of a contract between Weber County and Bullfighters.
Well, you remember last year Friday, we had the bullfighters only,
I do.
and even though it was just a deluge of rain, it did very well, really exciting.
Well, let me finish.
Oh,
So
sorry.
item 6 is a request for approval of a contract between Weber County and the American Chariot Association. And item 7 is a request for a contract between Weber County and Weber State University to hold state rodeo, Weber State Rodeo at the Golden Spike Event Center. All right, so now I'm going to turn all 3 of them over. You want to do them all?
Thank you. So the first one is a return for the bullfighters only for the fair. We know about that, and that's a really good event. They'll start selling tickets for that. The next one has to do, we used to be the World Chariot Championships and the state chariots, and this one is the regular season. This is the one that happens every Saturday out there. I think they go now a date or two in December, but January and February. And then the next one is request to do the Weber State University Rodeo, and part of the fees waived because the college kids come in and help clean the stalls so we can get ready for the Icebreaker Rodeo, with that big rodeo after that. So that's what that is.
Very good. Great. Questions?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, if that's okay, that we approve all 3 of those contracts as listed on our agenda under G like Golf, 5, 6, and 7.
And I'm happy to second all 3.
Very good. We have a motion and a second for items G as in golf, 5, 6, and 7. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. They're approved. Thank you, Commissioner. We appreciate you doing that.
Sure.
All right, this takes us to item 8, consideration and action on a request for a final plat approval of Jacqueline Estates Phase 1 amended subdivision. Steve Burton. Steve, good to have you today.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
To give you a little bit of background on this proposal, our planning office was approached by the Homeowners Association of the Jacqueline Estates Cluster Subdivision. This subdivision, just to give you some context, is located at about 4900 West and 2200 South in Western Weber in Ogden. The Homeowners Association consists of, there's 6 lots in this subdivision, and the HOA approached the planning office last year about this time and was wondering about amending their open space plan. As you know, a cluster subdivision always consists of an open space plan and an open space preservation plan. The HOA pointed out that the original developer was in default on that open space. They hadn't installed all of the common area amenities, and the HOA asked if there was a way to amend their subdivision plat so that they could actually own the common area. What we let them know is that in order to do that, there's a few things that they would need to do. One of them would be to make sure that each lot meets the current A1 zoning requirements. If it's going from a cluster subdivision with smaller lots and they want to get rid of the open space, we need to make sure that that they account for that. And so what they've done is they've made sure that each lot in this subdivision is the average lot size is 40,000 square feet and the average lot frontage is 150 feet. The next thing we told them that they would need to do would be to make sure that they get all lot owners on board. The reason for that is because all lot owners, they actually own together, they own that common area. And so to eliminate that common area and to own it individually, all 6 lot owners would need to be on board with that. I've was given a plat today that had all 6 lot owners' signatures on it. My understanding from that HOA is that all of those owners are on board. A third thing that would need to be done subdivision plat would need to be approved by the Planning Commission and the County Commission, as well as an ordinance would need to be approved that actually vacates the county's interest in that common area. When the subdivision was originally platted, our codes require that that open space in cluster subdivisions have a easement that's granted to the county, so that the county can make sure that it remains open and used as appropriately according to the open space plan. So we've prepared an ordinance. After this, we'll hold a public hearing for you to consider that ordinance. But right now, the owners are requesting that you consider their subdivision amendment. I'll show it on the screen if you can see that. We've got a configuration that shows how this existing subdivision looks today. You've got 6 lots surrounded by some common area, and the proposal would be to increase those lot sizes and to have the lot owners to the south actually just take ownership of that common area.
You didn't show this on the screen?
I'm sharing it on the Zoom call. I don't know if there's a way for... I was going to say, I think usually that works if I just share it on the Zoom call. Yeah. Commissioners, welcome. Sounds like there's still an echo. Oh, are we good? Commissioners, I guess while that's being pulled up, we can take a look at it, but if you have any questions for me at this point, I'm happy to answer. Looks like we've got the HOA here as well as the original developer that have worked this out to make this happen. And if you choose to approve that, like I said, we've got a public hearing scheduled and noticed right after this item to eliminate that open space easement. Planning Commission.
Question, do you?
No.
Commissioner Ford?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Hardy?
I don't have any questions on
This
this.
seems pretty simple.
Sounds
It
reasonable.
would be nice to see it before we take an action.
If you could pull that up before we're done, but
Yeah,
I'm prepared to move ahead.
I'm curious if there's another way to show it. I'm on the Zoom call, and I think it usually works when I just press share screen, but is there something else I could do?
No, we can't do anything here, right? We don't have a keyboard.
We
or-
could do, I can try it right here. Is it on our notes there, sir? Oh, it's right here at the front, right here. Sure, thanks, Stace.
Recording in progress.
Oh, there we go.
Did you get it? Volume. Hello.
Okay, we got it.
So if you can see, let me go show you before what it currently looks like. So you've got really the common area to the south behind lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. There was a future phase planned above here that the original developer owned. And then I'm going to show you what the proposal is to change that to. It's for these lots to be increased, and they've exchanged property with the original developer for that to happen, and for these original 4 lots to just acquire what was common area before. I will mention as well, the Planning Commission did forward a positive recommendation on this proposal.
This is really unusual, the way it works. But I guess it works, so why do we care?
I will mention, if you're looking at just kind of the intent normally of a cluster subdivision, it is to have open space that the owners can use and enjoy. I will mention also that this cluster subdivision was developed under an old ordinance where we were looking at smaller parks and not looking as much as agriculture or like regional open space. So our cluster ordinance has changed a few times to try and make it a little bit better for the residents that are living in clusters. But this is the first one that I'm aware of where all of the owners have agreed to actually acquire the open space.
And the planning commission agreed to this.
Yeah, on June 14th, the Western Weber Planning Commission forwarded a positive recommendation.
So Steve, it looks like the lots 11 and 12 won't be taking advantage of that extra space. Are they okay with that?
That was why we had to tell the owners that all of them have to be on
Yeah.
board. It might not be fair. They're here, but my understanding is, that all owners are on board. They've signed
Okay.
the subdivision plat.
I get concerned where some of that ground may be, not going to them.
Sure.
They have concerns, but they'll have the opportunity to talk about it. Yeah, okay. That's my only question, Mr. Chair.
Question,
Yes, go ahead.
road width and right-of-way? Steve?
Yep, so it's staying how it was. It's a 50-foot wide private drive. That's just how it was originally platted.
Why was this not completed, the subdivision?
The subdivision improvements, there are specifically the open space.
Well, that, and it looks like there's room for additional plots to be divided or subdivided.
So the developer owns land adjacent. I can't speak to why they didn't decide to continue platting. They're here, and they might be able to answer that. As far as the installation of the open space, why that wasn't done, our codes require a developer to put up an escrow and a financial guarantee for open space improvements, which did happen.
So we still have that money today.
We do.
And what are we going to do with it?
Under this proposal, it would be released back to the developer.
Man, why wouldn't you divide that by 6 and give it to each of the property owners so they could go ahead and develop the piece of property they're getting?
So, no, because in this case, the developer actually is deeding them property to make this work.
So I think they'd receive the property.
But our ordinances do require a financial guarantee. It would be nice if we did require a developer to install open space before houses were built. You guys know better than I do that's kind of a hard thing to require. I think even state code wouldn't allow us to do that. But it is.
Well, this is one example why I'm not a real big fan, haven't been a fan of the cluster subdivision ordinance, and I'm glad we changed that with our recent master plan change.
Well, I absolutely agree with that. Cluster ordinances sometimes do not do that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything?
Well, yeah, my only, I'm, everything that's been said, I think it's great. I love the fact that everybody's on board. Put my mind at ease out there. The only thing I see on there is 21st Street, 2100 South. And the master plan out west planning for Weber County. That's why I asked the question about road right-of-ways and things like that. I don't want to disrupt anybody in the future or have them. I want to think about it in advance. This is not part of that master plan moving forward. People aren't going to be sitting here 50 years from now thinking, why did those guys do that where they should have made this 66 feet?
You're talking about specifically Jacqueline Park, this private road?
I'm talking about what's on, I was asked to go to the Zoom, and normally these are presented to us in work meetings in advance, and so we don't have to deliberate them right here and waste everybody, but we didn't have that, so now you're getting it today. This is what I got.
Yeah.
So I go down the road, I take 21st Street all the time. I've got a little property out there. I know and that street goes straight through 1900.
Talk to the event coordinator. No, we can't find it, blah, 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 blah. Then I go to the bell desk, then I go to concierge, then I'm back over to the FedEx, then I'm upstairs, then I'm.
Greg Bell, can you please mute your Zoom? Thank you.
So to his question.
I don't know how, I don't know it intimately as it gets further west. I only get to 1900 or 2000 west, and I don't go any further west than that north-south bearing. So this is 4900 right here, it doesn't go through. 4700's right here. Is there ever a potentiality that this is gonna come through into the freeway? You know, when
2550 is the one that goes through.
2550 goes
And
through,
then 21st.
then there's a
Yeah.
21st Street exit.
There goes.
That's my only question. I don't want, and it doesn't look, as I see it now with this other map, never mind. Doesn't work. Forget it.
Yeah, West Haven, their master plan shows 21st going into 1800, and then eventually it goes from 18 to 16, I think.
And I don't know I'm not familiar with that municipality's master plan.
Right.
Commissioner Harvey, as I looked at this and compared it to the general plan, I mean, there's no new roads being proposed.
That's great.
And we've got all the right-of-way dedication on public roads that we need.
Now that you've put it on this map and not the engineered map, this is fine. I got no issues. We're good. Sorry, Mr. Chair, thanks.
That's okay, so you said private drive, so we will not be plowing this, the county?
That's correct.
This is a private road, and these folks understand that?
Yeah.
All right.
Wonderful.
All right, so Steve, the way this.
They get out do they get snow out there? That's the banana belt part of the county.
Oh, I never get snow in West Haven.
I imagine that they do.
So, you would like us now to simply move
Nice
on to the
place.
public hearing and move on this.
So what you could do is approve the amendment to the subdivision or deny the amendment to the subdivision or table it. And then after your decision on amending the subdivision, we will hold a public hearing specifically for that open space easement.
Okay.
So you want us to amend the plat first?
Yeah, and make a decision on the proposal to
Oh.
amend the plat.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'll move that we amend this plat for Jacqueline Estates.
To approve number 8.
Mhm.
Okay, we have a motion to approve 8 and amend it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move on action item 8 and approve this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye. All right, thanks, Steve. So now we will, I need a motion to go to a public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to adjourn our public meeting and reconvene as a public hearing.
Correct. Yeah, a second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Very good. So this public hearing is to consider the vacation of the open space easement and the common area in Jacqueline Estates, and to, of course, do what you've just said, Steve. So I think the audience, public that's here, understands that we are amenable to this. So if you want to speak in opposition to it, please stand up. If you want to speak for it, I'd recommend you don't say anything right now because it looks to me like it's going your way. So is there anybody who would like to speak in opposition to this? Because we'd love to hear from you. Okay. Oh, okay. Lance, you know, when they say when the sell's made, the last thing you want to do is keep selling.
Yeah, I hear you there.
Don't blow their
Lance
chances.
Peterson, Taylor, West Weaver Parks District. We're not in opposition to it. So when you say anybody wants to stand up in opposition, I'm like, well, I don't want to stand up. So our main concern is the future development down there. We're concerned that the developer would try down the road to claim this open space for future development credit for higher
Density?
not density credit. So that's our main concern as a park district. I think it's great that the folks are trying to figure out and straighten out the mess that the developer left them in, and you know, I think you kind of said something, Scott, that made me stop and think. Yeah, 2200 South. That's a nice frontage road right there. And is this going to be required to be maintained in open space? Because it is going towards their credit for 1 acre lots. So that would to me, mean that this 3.5 acre lots is not developable in the future, but also not to be able to have a developer in future. Like there's phase 2, Jacqueline Estates. If that ever gets resurrected again, I could foresee where the developer would come back and say, well, we left that in open space, so that gives us credit for our higher density in phase 2. So all bets are off on phase 2, right? At that point. That's our two main concerns, is make sure this stays in open space and not claimed as credit for future development as open space.
That's what you just said right there. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Thank you. What you just said right there is you're summarized in your point. Say that last sentence one more time.
Oh, hell, Jim, I don't know if I can remember what I said.
What you want to do is make sure this is left in open
Make sure that
space.
this is maintained as open space, and that future developments for example, phase 2 or other future development does not try to claim this open space as credit for their higher density open space. If
Mr.
that
Chair,
makes sense.
just clarification, so we just amended the plat, so this is no longer going to be open space. I want to be clear here. Why do you think this is open space? These will actually be part of an existing lot.
That's right.
So this is private property. It's not going to be open space, and that, a private property can't be claimed for future developments. I don't understand where your concern is here, Lance.
Oh, okay, Gage. These right here now are what, 14,000 square foot lots?
Right.
Okay.
And there'll be larger lots after we just amended the plat.
Bingo, exactly. And
But that's not open space, and that's not common area.
Oh, okay. Use a different term, a better term, whatever. But I could foresee where a developer would come down the street later down the road, Gage, and say, "Oh, here's some great, nice ground to develop. It's already got frontage." Approach those landowners and say, "Hey, we'll buy it from you and we'll develop it," which would take away their 1 acre designation that
And then all
you're
the
giving them
landowners
today.
would sell it, and what you're saying is.
Yeah, it would take away their 1 acre designation right now with the.
Yeah, and obviously that would require a subdivision plat, a filing by all owners to do a new subdivision. And my opinion is that we'll have, and I think this is a question for Steve or staff, that there'll be something put on this plat that would dedicate this to these lots for the future use, and not open space or the ability to do that. Is that right, Steve? Or? So I appreciate your comment, Lance, but I think you're a little off base.
I don't think so. I agree. I disagree.
Commissioners, if the open space easement is eliminated.
Right.
And if the open space no longer exists, technically, those owners they would actually have to do a few things, but one of them, if they did want to develop it, they would have to apply for a rezone
Right.
to get
That's right.
a little bit higher density out there. As far as another developer, if, let's say that this did remain in open space, to address Lance's concern, another developer wouldn't be able to use it for a credit on a different subdivision. I realize that we're talking about phase 1 of this subdivision. What happened was the developer never actually finalized phase 2, and the development totally expired. And so they wouldn't be able to use the open space anyway for a future subdivision to increase density.
That's how I understand it.
Okay.
But if this went to a city, which is probable in this case, because they will eventually be on the boundary of West Haven, and West Haven comes along and picks up a smaller lot configuration, and they wish to apply for a rezone in that to put a house on the back side of that, that would be their option at this point.
That's correct. They could apply
Okay.
for that.
Yeah, that'd be
Right.
an application through West Haven City.
Right.
If it was, yeah.
See, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. That's if and buts. That's
Yeah.
years away. Sure. Still.
Wait. If and buts. Candy and nuts.
That's right. If and buts were candy and nuts, would be Christmas every day of the year. Okay. Anybody else wish to comment here?
I have a question. Is the county?
Hold on. Can you identify
Okay.
yourself?
My name is Gary Haas, And I just have a question. Is the county going to lose money because of the transfer of this open space?
Steve, can you answer that question?
So the county isn't transferring any open space. The county is vacating an easement that the county holds on common area. So the only interest that the county really held in this easement was to make sure that the common area remained open space for these 6 lot owners.
Right.
In my opinion, the county won't lose any money vacating this easement.
In fact, if anything, we might gain money because it'll increase their lot size and our tax, their tax burden to the county will actually go up a little.
True.
Okay, all right.
A little, not a lot.
No,
Let's
no, we'll
just.
go up a lot. But it's not in green space, so.
No, it's not in
it
green
will
belt, no.
Go up. Does that answer your question? I assume so.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Very good. Is there anybody else on Zoom that would like to comment? Okay, here none. So I'm getting ready to close this down.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we will now close public comment, and I need a motion to adjourn this public hearing.
Motion to adjourn public hearing and reconvene public meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're back into our regular meeting, and we have an ordinance in front of us to do what we just talked about. If somebody would like to make a motion to that.
Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to motion to approve ordinance 2022-28, is it? For the approval of the vacation of the open space easement on the common and area parcel in the Jacqueline Estates Cluster Subdivision.
Before I second, I got one last question.
Go ahead.
Who's Jacqueline?
I don't think she's here.
You're Jacqueline? Yeah.
So we had a daughter.
Oh.
Named, and she is in heaven.
Oh.
And we, as a tribute to her.
Oh.
subdivision.
I just felt impressed to ask that question. Thank you for explaining that.
Good to
Thank
know.
you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Craig?
Is this for the ordinance for?
Ordinance
for H2 or H3?
22-28.
28.
Roll call vote for ordinance 2022-28, Commissioner Flohr,
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey.
Aye.
Chair Jenkins.
Aye. Very good, it passes. All right, commissioner comments.
Why do you look at me? I had the comments at the first.
Yeah, you do, but you're always the first to jump on this. Am I wrong there,
Yeah,
Commissioner Flohr?
he passes on words of wisdom on every minute he speaks.
No comment today.
Anything by you?
I'm flabbergasted. I just mentioned that we had a little snow last night. Again, we're starting off to a great water year, a great ski year. I think the snow basin had 6 inches or so. So it's a great start
It's a great
for a lot of reasons. We need the moisture
Keep it going.
and we need the white. I almost came down with a white flu today, so
That happens, doesn't it?
that can happen this time of year.
All right, well, that is great. This is the last meeting that we'll hold in November, so we're down to the last month of my term coming up.
Come on up.
So here we go.
And you might mention that no commission meeting a week from today for various reasons.
That's right.
December 6th.
December 6th, we have a couple of medical things going on between me and
I'm not in that generation. I'm sorry. I
That's
can't.
right. You could hold that alone if you, no, you can't, actually.
No, I can't.
Couldn't get much done, but
And I don't want you videoing from where you're going to be. So that'd be
Either one of us.
neither one.
Very good. All right, well, that finishes our work today.
motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion.
Second.
All fair say aye.
Aye.
Aye.